right, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I am actually saddened that we're here and the content and information that I'm going to be sharing with you, but wanted to just give you an account of what has transpired today on our campuses, or on our campus, I should say, and a little bit of context around that, and also allow for some questions. So this morning a threat came in to us at 6:07. That actually had come into Channel 8. Channel 8 called 911 immediately and also forwarded that information to us so that we could act on it immediately. We first worked to evacuate the staff and the building at Arcadia to get anybody who was in there early out. And that was with and in collaboration with Greece Police. So both our security and Greece Police immediately went on site and took care of evacuating. We then worked to notify families because, as you know, high schools start early. So with the 7 o'clock start time, many students were in transit. So we were able to divert buses and bring them over to Athena. So any student who was on their way to Arcadia was brought over to our Athena campus in our GPAC, where we could feed them breakfast and just get them settled and safe. So an important thing to know about that is our team worked collaboratively. GPD was able to get into the building. They were able to sweep the building with dogs and assure us that there was absolutely no threat, and we could resume classes and get kids back on campus. So all in all, our students were back to Arcadia High School by 9 a.m. this morning, and I say that with great thanks and appreciation for our staff. So we have a lot of people that were part of that in terms of transportation, our communications department, the administrative teams from both Athena and Arcadia Middle School and Athena Middle School. So everybody worked incredibly well to ensure that that could happen. Arcadia Middle was able to resume classes about 10. So we had a little bit of a delay there, mainly because of our transportation department being out transporting our elementary run. I want to point out the threat that came in. This is something that I do think is important for people to be aware of. You see behind me the actual threat that came in. And I ask that you just take a minute to read that. It is the exact opposite of what we do in schools. It is the exact opposite of what Greece Central believes in terms of what we teach and how we behave and how we conduct ourselves. So I just think that it's really important because this came into us from adults. To me, it qualifies as a hate crime. To me, I want to work as vigilantly as possible with our authorities to make sure whoever is responsible for this is prosecuted to the fullest extent. So I say that because that is what's behind a major disruption to a school district. A school district with 10,000 kids, and while this was on one campus, it disrupts everybody. It disrupts an entire community in terms of how they feel. I want to be clear that it's not okay. I want to be clear that we're going to continue to work with authorities. So I'm not sure if you have particular questions. That gives you a sense of sort of what happened this morning. Throughout all of that, our communications department has been periodically in touch with families, so with connected messages and those types of things. And at this point, like I said, we just left Arcadia. Kids are on campus. They're going to class. Many kids went home, and I know did not return once they were transported to Athena. And Arcadia Middle is also running at this point as well.
So recognizing that this is not focused everyone's safe and sound, it wasn't a real threat, but can you share more about that fight to give the context of what pushed someone to anonymously kind of say this? I understand a staff member might have been injured during that fight.
Nope, that's not. You're talking about a situation, I think, from a different school. And again, highlighting the fact that we have certainly an increased violence in our community and in our schools, particularly since COVID.
Just to clarify, there was a viral video that, I'm sure you've seen of two students fighting in the bathroom. Is this what that is relating to?
Mm-hmm.
Could you share a little bit about that fight?
Yeah, I want to be really clear. there was a fight in the bathroom, or in a bathroom in February. So I just want to be clear on that timeline too, because it is clear that this is being used for an agenda, whether that be a personal or political agenda. It is being used. That fight that occurred was significant and very, very upsetting and disturbing. And it also, I want to be very clear, involved minors. It involved minors that deserve the respect and the privacy. We don't get to go share videos and names and people's personal identities out there. So I just want to be clear that that happened. I also want to be clear that our district took swift action with that. That was not an event that didn't go unnoticed or that got swept under the rug. That was an event that was dealt with very, very specifically and sensitively. So it's not everybody's business necessarily what happened on that day. I guess what's most disappointing to me about it is when you look at the timing with which that was released or shared with someone, very few people had that. I do think that there was very intentional work done to cause harm and damage, and it's using students and using kids as a pawn in that. And that frustrates me and really greatly upsets me.
One of the accounts that was sharing that video around made some remarks about one person's gender identity. Are you able to provide any clarity? The statement clearly was...
Well, here's what I would say. They're minors. They're minors that attend a school, and it's not our business to identify them for other people. That's not our role. I think my role is to protect them because they are minors. And we don't make it and don't support the idea of sharing video and putting things like that up because it's harmful to students. People don't know the age of these two individuals. People don't know anything about these individuals, and they shouldn't. And it shouldn't be, it's not for me to disclose that. So I share that respectfully.
I'm sure that events like this causes great fear to a specific community at Greece School. How do you guys make sure that they feel safe after getting a threat like this?
Yeah, we work really hard around safety and security, so I think that is a really important point to make. This security is something, this is our Director of Security, Casey Volko. We work year-round and really 24/7 around safety and security, so that is part of a much bigger system that we have related to everything from our safety plans to our training to how we equip buildings with cameras and vestibules and procedures and things like that. So all of that exists in the effort of keeping kids safe, but when events like this happen, certainly it breeds fear, and I think it's intentionally trying to breed fear. So all we can do is continue to work with our kids and families. I think the way that we do that is by being open with communication, sharing what we know. One of the first things that I did today with our students when they were brought over to Athena is I got on the mic to talk to them about what had happened. I was very honest about what had happened in terms of the threat that came in. I was very honest about the information that we knew. So I think that is one part, is just having relationships and being open and honest in terms of sharing communication. I think we also really have an important obligation to really, as a community, promote more in terms of like, how do we solve problems together? How do we work to sort of build more understanding with each other? Because really this is being driven by hate. And it's being driven by a particular hate for particular groups. And that is clear. And I think for us, we have to continue to promote respectful dialogue, building understanding, building empathy, and also building systems so that there are safe spaces for kids and families to come and talk and get the support they need. One thing that I was writing to my board about recently is the increased violence and also the increase in terms of families that are promoting violence. And that being a struggle because while we're teaching something in school, we also need to partner, and we need families on board with partnering around positive problem solving and conflict resolution versus resorting to violence.
Is this the first bomb threat the school have experienced, or you guys got bomb threats?
We have, but I mean, I'm telling you, I've been superintendent for I'm going into my 10th year, and few and far between. So never, I mean, I shouldn't say never, rarely where we've ever had to cause, delay.
I know you were saying, so you don't know who sent this email, but you had said you think it's from an adult?
Well, I don't know that. What I would say is I feel like this is an agenda. And I wrap that back to a hateful agenda.
Quick question on the sort of timeline of this again. The threat actually came into Channel 8, not the district directly.
Correct.
8 forwarded it to you guys.
Mhm.
Okay.
8 immediately called, so I appreciate that. They immediately called 911 and then also alerted us. So it was very helpful. We had a quick response.
And I guess, how did, you guys calm the students when this was happening?
So one thing, again, I would highlight what an incredible staff we have here. We have incredible administrators. We have incredible teachers. So the teachers and staff and administrators, I give them credit, and our security team. So everybody, and I think that is an example that I would just say I don't know that everybody would find in every district. We've worked really hard to build strong systems, but also build strong relationships and procedures around how we work together. So, and I think kids feel that. Kids know and take their lead from us as adults. They were brought into a safe space, a comfortable space. They were fed breakfast by our amazing food service providers who came over from Arcadi and Athena to help. They put a movie on. There was a bunch of things that just were immediately done, as well as that just ongoing communication and updates with the students that were there.
Is being investigated by Greece Police?
So Greece Police is actively investigating, and my guess, and I don't know this for sure, but is that they'll continue to also access other agencies, because as you know, and I'm not sure if you are aware, but there are different districts and company, there's a lot of this going on all over the country, so we're not alone. That's the other thing I want people to realize. I heard about a situation in Baltimore, Alaska, Albuquerque. I mean, these kinds of threats are going on in many, many places, and there's some similarities. Like I said, the GPD will investigate, but they also, I'm sure, will use other agencies as necessary they see fit.